Hey everybody, welcome back to Record-ology. Okay, today I'm going to try and fix this. This is that Sharp mini disc recorder that I picked up from the Ukraine on eBay a few weeks ago. I did a little show on it. You know, it's a great little unit. I like the idea of it. It's just sort of steadily been, not working more and more and more. It had the battery compartment, was already having a loose lever there, so I put a rubber band on it. Honestly, I know this would kill some people, but for me, I don't care if I have to put a rubber band on it to hold it closed. It actually works even in the closed position, but I don't want to catch it on anything. It uses these ridiculous gum stick batteries, which if you haven't had to deal with these, it's just an unnecessary thing. Basically, they allow the unit to have a much more sleek size. If you remember those old Sony mini disc players we had, I say old, they're actually about the same age as this, 2003, 2004. If you remember, they had kind of a bulge to accommodate that AA battery. So these gum stick batteries allow for a sleeker package. However, they're a pain, and you have to have a charger for it, or a battery charger for it, and they just pop in kind of like this. This is aftermarket, these are aftermarket. So you can do it. So mini disc is a pain in the butt product. It is high maintenance. The equipment breaks down all the time. Nobody's making this stuff anymore, so it's hard to find parts. A lot of times you have to buy used units and cannibalize them, yada, yada, yada. So what I need to do is take this guy apart. So I figured you'd enjoy me either destroying or repairing this device. I'm not sure which yet. We'll see how it ends up. But basically, when you play mini disc in here, it just clicks, it spins, and that's really, really annoying. So we're going to take it apart. We're going to try and clean down the gears, add some lubricant, do anything else that seems obvious. There's one other video on YouTube about repairing a Sharp mini disc player. It's not this model, but I've taken some information from that, and hopefully we can apply it towards getting this guy working, because I love mini disc when it works, and this is a long play compatible device as well. So I have a lot of mini disc LP discs that I would like to be able to use, and I'd like to be able to record on this as well. Right now it's not recording, and it's barely playing, it's clicking, and it sounds like there's a gear having contact issues, or hopefully not, but possibly worn out. So I'm going to start by taking some screws apart, and we'll take a look inside. So as you can tell, it does have Phillips screws. They are tiny though. So, and sorry for my shakiness, doing this on camera is not easy. But if you get a sharp enough point and a small enough screwdriver, you can get those out. So I put those in. I always have a tendency of screwing screws in it way harder than they need to be. So let me focus on getting those. Looks like there's 4 holding the lid on. So let's get those out, and then I'll show you what I find. Okay, those screws are tiny, but I got all 4 of them out for the lid. So let's go ahead and try to take this off. This is definitely not something you want to do any more than you have to. Oh, there's a disc in there. Definitely don't want to do this any more than you have to. So as we've talked about before, mini disc uses both magnetic heads and optical lasers to record and then play back the signal. So the way this works really quickly is the laser, as you can see down there, the laser diode, kind of like a CD laser, when it records, heats up the mini disc material from the bottom to what's called its Curie point, basically a warm enough temperature that it becomes susceptible to what's called the Moire effect, and that allows this magnetic head, not unlike a tape head, to create sort of polarizing patterns in the disc, and then the laser is able to play back those variations of light refraction in order to decode whatever's been recorded on there. So these guys right here, mega gentle with these, because these are super delicate. As you've known, if you watched the show in the past, I have had a heck of a time with the record head on my Sony mini disc deck. And we don't want to have to go down that route. So I'm going to need to take more of this apart in order to access things. So 2 more screws on each side here. 2 more, 1 more, a few on the back. And we'll see what comes up next. So let's see what's inside. Figured out the secret. It has to hook off the back and then slide over the door. So you've got the back side of the metal casing, and now we kind of have the unit apart and we can work on it. So this isn't the side that we want. This is more of the ICs, and everything is miniaturized. I mean, this is all advanced electronics here. I'm not saying it's brand new. I mean, this is, you know, nearly 20 years old, but, you know, in the scheme of a lot of what we look at, you know, these resistors and transistors are definitely microscopic. I mean, we are talking about precision electronics. Now, we should be able to remove this board. I believe I was able to do this in the past, which should give us freedom to not have to deal with that ribbon cable. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off. They all use the same screw. Oops, just popped down and we'll have to go digging for that, which is tiny, but it's not impossible to deal with, and it's not a hex or anything weird. Let's see if I can get a focus on that. Sorry, I'm using my phone to film, so sometimes I have to sacrifice quality for quantity when it comes to producing these shows, because getting the SLR out, external mics, etc., is very time consuming. Rendering, yet I have software that allows me to do everything from my phone, and sometimes that's just the better option. Okay. All right, so we got the front panel off. See, this is kind of interesting. So this is the back side of this control pad, and it's just basically a single piece of plastic that's molded with these different buttons, which is really cool. Really interesting. Okay, so now this also gives me an opportunity to clean the screen dust that's been driving me nuts. But again, it's that record head. Ooh, that's sketchy stuff. Oh, cool. This is even better. So check this out, guys. See this ribbon cable where it attaches? This is actually in a locking receptacle. That means that you can use a little flathead or something to release it, and then you can actually remove the ribbon cable, which means we can remove this. And that can be replaced at a later time and date. So this is good. So now we're down to the skeleton of the mini disc player. This is the core device itself. So again, because this is a mechanical deal, what we really are concerned about is what's going on back here, where that pickup assembly is sliding on the worm screw and any other mechanical gears and things. So the next thing I'm going to try and do is remove the loading mechanism on top here and see if I can get a little deeper inside. Okay, just a little bit of an update. I now have this thing taken further apart than I ever have before, which may or may not be a good thing, because I took off this frame. As you can see, from the top there, we can see the worm gear in the back, but we can't really see the servos that are driving it. And in trying to remove this circuit board from the back, I ran into an issue where this little screw right here stripped. So it's not going to be as easy. It never is, right, of taking it apart. You kind of have to commit when you're ready to do something like this. By the way, officially I have to say, don't do this. It could hurt yourself or somebody else. But I need to try and get under there, because that is where those servos are going to be, with those gears that are having issues. So there's up 20 to 30 minutes in between these clips, so my apologies for not showing everything, but I'm sparing you a very long video. So I'm going to keep digging and I'll let you know what I find out. Okay guys, I may have it as far apart as I can get it. There is a screw, as you can see, I got like 3 layers going on there, between this layer in the middle and this outer layer on the right. And it's hard to see in there, I'm sorry for the lighting, but I can't get to the screw because it's inside there. I don't know how they did that. So this black piece on the back, which is the battery addition, where you clip on like an external battery, is sort of fused to the top layer and the middle layer there. So I can't, without damaging, pull it any further apart. However, and this, let me see if I can see if we can get lighting in here. Hold on, bear with me here. Okay, hold on, I'm sorry. This is the downside of shooting on the phone. Okay, it's kind of blurry, but see that gray gear back there? And there's a thin sort of white plastic gear to the left of that. There, underneath that white disc gear on the left, there is a worm gear that attaches to the main worm gear shaft. I might try to get better pictures and edit that in. Anyway, that's what I need to clean and lubricate, so I'm going to try and do it using the contact cleaner with a stick on it, and then the lubricant with a stick on it as well, and just kind of hope for the best. I'll clean the lens of the laser before I put it all back together, but I am definitely no expert. Can't you tell? So I'm feeling a little nervous, honestly, as to whether or not I can get this all back together. I'm using the battery charger thing as a screw compartment holder, because they are tiny screws, and on the granite counter, it's impossible to find stuff like that. So we're gonna try and clean everything out that I can reach, and then re-lubricate everything, and then lastly I'm gonna use some alcohol, clean that laser, and maybe the record head as well, just for good measure. So let me do those things, and I'll check back in, and then we'll assemble it and see if I miraculously fixed it. Okay, here's a much better lit angle of the inside of this device. As you can see, that gray gear and that sort of white plastic gear that has a differential of some sort leading down to the worm gear. So what I did is I took the contact cleaner, I took it outside so I didn't kill the bird, because birds are real susceptible to strong smells and stuff like that. So I took the contact cleaner and I was pretty liberal with it, blasting everything out. It won't damage anything. You just need to make sure there's no power to the unit, which I did, and really just nuke the inside, get all the gunk out, all the fuzz out, and that evaporates almost instantaneously. It's really bizarre. Then I took the lubricant, again with the straw, so I wasn't just spraying like this aerosol everywhere in there. That would be an oily mess. But I took it with the straw on it so I could precision apply it where I wanted. Ideally, I would have been able to take this layer apart so that I could even take those, pop those wheels and gears off and clean down in their shafts, but I wasn't able to do that. So what I did is I positioned the straw of the lubricant right at the base and at the top of those, and dropped in some lubricant. So that should do the trick. It actually doesn't take much lubricant for these types of electronics to function. So let's see what happens. Okay guys, so like 2 hours have passed. I've had to take it apart a couple of times, put it back together, take it apart. It's so tightly built that if you don't do things exactly the right way, and then about halfway through I realized not all the screws were the same threading and length, and anyway, I'm definitely, like I said, not an expert. Little things like this, like the battery thing isn't lined up as good as it was, so it's tighter fit now for the battery. Well, I wasn't kidding. Wasn't that bad, was it? Okay, a minute ago I got this in there, okay. Okay, that'll be fun getting out. So a tight fit for the battery compartment. I am missing one screw. I have no idea what happened to it, but it should go right there. I don't know if this is gonna even work at this point, honestly. So, I mean, it's tighter than it was in a bad way. I'm gonna put this disc in there. I might have just sealed the fate on this thing more than anything, so let's see if it even turns on. You might be witnessing the end of this player. Oh, it says hello. That's good. TOC read, table of contents. No disc. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good. It's also not good that the disc isn't ejecting. I'm not really sure what the problem is, but that may be all I'm going to do on it today. It's kind of the risk I take when it comes to these projects, right? Kind of worked. It came back for a minute. Come on. Wah. Of course, I'm getting really good at taking it apart now, so maybe I can do it yet one more time. So, all right, guys. Hope you enjoyed me destroying some of my electronics, and stay tuned for more destruction tomorrow. No, maybe we'll do something. Maybe we'll do something a little bit less damaging tomorrow. But seriously, though, guys, it's all about the fun, the experimentation, the risk you take, risk versus reward. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. So there you go. All right, guys, happy record hunting. We will see you tomorrow. You know what? I'm not satisfied until this works the right way. So we've got our control board right there, ribbon cable connected. I'm gonna put a known good disc in here. All it's missing now is the front cover and the button panel, which you can actually bypass if you need to for testing purposes. Notice how the shutter is open when you open it. I would be very careful about doing... well, the eject is working. Careful about doing this, guys, because you got lasers involved, and that's not good. So let's go ahead and see if we can get her to work manually from the front here. So our top button here is going to be play. So let's see if it comes to life. Huh. Helps if you put a battery in. Jeez, dude. I swear, it's one of those days, dude. It is one of them days. Okay. Put the disc in. Try to hold it closed because the lid is part of what holds it closed. So we're going to try and hold it closed manually. This ribbon cable is kind of wanky, but all right, hitting play. Oh, it is spinning. Jeez, dude. Why aren't we seeing anything on the ribbon cable or on the display? Okay, it's coming up to speed again. We should see something on the display though. Come on. So now I got it held together enough. Sorry for the shaky camera. I've got it held together enough to get it to turn on, and the disc is spinning. There's the record head doing its thing on the back side there. But it spins and spins, and then it says either no disc or disc error. So, still not there. Can't read. Dang it. Okay, guys, this is going to do it. It wasn't meant to be. I tried. I did not succeed. However, I learned a lot in terms of how these things are put together, and I figured out the way to not fix a Sharp mini disc player. But anyway, I hope you thought this was interesting. I'm sorry it wasn't a success in the end, but it was interesting. I always like looking under the hood of electronics and learning how they work. And, if we have the opportunity to fix something and make it work, that is always fun and exciting and very rewarding. So, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some, but hopefully you thought that was interesting regardless. So thank you for being there. Sorry it's a little bit longer of an episode. Thanks for watching. Hang tight for another show tomorrow. But in the meantime, happy record hunting. We'll see you tomorrow.